The final whistle hadn't even settled in Atlanta. Argentina had just clawed back a match they had no business winning. Down 2 goals to Egypt, deep into the second half, looking finished. Then 3 goals in the closing stretch, the last one arriving in stoppage time off the boot of Enzo Fernandez. The defending champions were through. It looked like just another chapter in a great team story. Then, almost immediately, something else took over the conversation. A disallowed Egyptian goal. A missing penalty call. Egypt's coach, Hassan, coming out afterward and calling it an unjust defeat, and pointedly suggesting that marketing support had helped keep Argentina and Messi alive in this tournament. Captain Mohamed Salah publicly questioning the officiating. The Egyptian Football Association filing a formal complaint demanding referees be pulled from the competition. And then, strangest of all, the mayor of New York, at a public transit event, mid-sentence about buses, casually dropping the line "Egypt was robbed yesterday" to a room full of applause. When your officiating controversy jumps from the touchline to the podium of a municipal bus announcement, you have lost control of the story. Within hours, the match wasn't about the comeback anymore. It was about FIFA. Because when the same organization keeps finding itself at the center of the same argument, tournament after tournament, the scoreline stops being the only thing people remember. So how did the 2026 World Cup, one of the most ambitious tournaments ever staged, end up fighting the same forward thought that has followed Argentina since Qatar? Wait a second. Again. Stick with me, because by the end of this you're going to have to pick a side. And I promise you, there's a water bottle involved. Let's go back to the beginning, and build this the right way. Not the crazy pile. Not yet. The reasonable pile first. The pile of things that, taken one at a time, are completely explainable, and taken together start to make that little voice in your head clear its throat. Item 1. Argentina's opening match against Algeria was supposed to be a formality, and on the scoreboard, it was. Lionel Messi scored a hat-trick, equaling the record for the most goals by any player in World Cup history. A genuinely beautiful night. But midway through the first half, Messi appeared to rake his studs down the back of Islam Mandy's leg. Polish referee Simon Marciniak, who may simply not have seen it, gave nothing. VAR looked and decided it wasn't worth sending anyone to the monitor for. The pundits watching did not agree. One ESPN analyst said flatly it should have been a red card. Another went further, 100% a red card for Lionel Messi. Messi stayed on. The hat-trick happened. Nobody called it a fix. But somebody wrote it down. Item 2, and this one's about numbers, because numbers don't have a favorite team. In that Algeria match, Argentina committed 13 fouls to Algeria's 8 and picked up 0 bookings. 0. Next match, against Jordan, Jordan collected 3 yellow cards for roughly half as many fouls, 7 to Argentina's 13. Argentina again walked away with a clean sheet. By the quarterfinals, Argentina had the second fewest bookings of any team left in the tournament, despite committing the 4th most fouls. It was taking them almost 20 fouls to earn a single yellow card, a rate beaten by only one other team at this whole World Cup. Meanwhile England, under Thomas Tuchel, had the most cards of anyone, a booking every 6.8 fouls. Same tournament. Same rulebook. One team apparently commits a foul-worthy offense every 7 attempts, and the other seems to have diplomatic immunity. Nobody is saying the World Cup is fixed. I'm just reading you the spreadsheet. Item 3. After Argentina got a genuine scare from Cape Verde in the round of 32, FIFA President Gianni Infantino sat down with Argentine television and said, on camera, that he had suffered with them during the match. He caught himself seconds later and clarified he meant every neutral fan watching. The president of the one organization whose entire job is to be neutral had just told a national broadcaster how much he personally suffered for their team, and then had to explain that he didn't mean it that way. Not a fix. Just a man who forgot which camera he was standing in front of. But it's a bad look. And bad looks are the whole ball game here. Item 4, and this is the one that actually broke the internet. FIFA announced the officiating crew for France's quarter-final against Morocco, a match that would decide who stood between Argentina and back-to-back titles. All 5 on-field officials assigned to that match were Argentine. Every single one. The post went up on X at almost the exact moment the Egypt controversy was unfolding, and it pulled over 32 million views in a day. You could not script the timing more perfectly if you tried. The country most likely to end Argentina's run was about to be officiated, top to bottom, by officials from Argentina itself. Nobody is saying the World Cup is fixed. FIFA just seems determined to make that sentence impossible to say with a straight face. Item 5 goes back before a ball was even kicked, the draw. Back in November, FIFA confirmed the defending champions, Euro winner Spain, France, and England would be seeded apart, unable to meet before the semi-finals if they won their groups. Seeding is normal. Every tournament seeds. But the effect was that the powerhouses kept getting funneled into brutal collisions with each other, while Argentina appeared to glide down a noticeably softer slope. Supporters will tell you, correctly, that you can only beat the team in front of you, and Argentina beat everyone put there. Fair point. Perception doesn't care about fair points. And then there's the ghost hanging over all of it, Qatar. In their 2022 title run, Argentina were awarded 5 penalties, the most any team has ever received in a single World Cup. 5. Supporters said every one was earned. Louis van Gaal, whose Netherlands side lost to Argentina on penalties that year, later said on Dutch television that he believed it was premeditated, and when asked directly if he meant Messi had to become champion, Van Gaal answered, "I think so." No evidence has ever emerged to support that. None. It's the paranoia of a manager who lost a game he thought he should have won. But it stuck, because it landed on soil that had already been fertilized. Because this didn't start in 2026. Go back to 1978. Argentina hosts the World Cup under a military dictatorship run by Jorge Videla. Argentina needs to beat Peru by 4 clear goals in their final group match to reach the final. They win 6-0. Immediately, unproven whispers of a fix. Those whispers got louder in 2012, when a Peruvian senator testified in a Buenos Aires court that a deal had been struck between Videla and Peru's president, allegedly involving political prisoners. Unproven. But it's the kind of story that never fully washes out. Fast forward to 1990. Argentina, the defending champions, meet Brazil in the round of 16. Brazil's Branco drinks from a water bottle handed to him by an Argentine physio and afterwards says he felt dizzy. Argentina score the winner. Years later, Argentina's 1990 coach was asked directly about the spiked bottle story, and he gave what might be the single most damning non-denial in football history. "I'm not saying it didn't happen. Brazil's federation said they'd send a dossier to FIFA. As far as anyone knows, FIFA did nothing. So here's a country that, fairly or not, has a paper trail of 'we're not saying it didn't happen,' stretching back almost 50 years. That's why when a goal comes off the board in Atlanta in 2026, nobody's first reaction is, 'tough call.' It's, 'here we go again.' If Argentina's story were the only controversy this tournament, it might have stayed a sideshow. It didn't stay a sideshow, because FIFA managed to detonate a second, completely separate integrity crisis. American striker Folarin Balogun was shown a straight red card in the round of 32 against Bosnia for a challenge on Toni Sunjic. Under FIFA's own regulations, a straight red carries an automatic one-match ban. Not a suggestion. Written into the rules. FIFA then suspended the ban, put it on probation for a year, freeing Balogun to play the very next match. FIFA has never publicly explained why. What we do know, President Donald Trump confirmed he personally called Infantino to ask for a review, telling reporters he didn't think it was a foul and calling the original call horrible. FIFA insists the phone call played no part. Here's why this one detonated. UEFA, an actual governing body, not a message board, said FIFA had crossed a red line, pointing out an automatic suspension after a red card isn't discretionary. Belgium's federation said they were astonished and demanded to know what rule had even been applied. Then the consistency argument arrived to finish the job. England's Jarell Quansah was sent off against Mexico for a similar studs-up challenge, and FIFA handed him a 2-match ban that England couldn't even appeal. 2 nearly identical red cards. One player gets a reprieve after a call from the White House. The other gets doubled. A former FIFA referee with 16 years in the middle put it simply, fans want correct decisions, but what they need even more is consistency. Another former official was blunter, accusing FIFA of allowing outside political interference. When your own former referees can't publicly reconcile 2 of your own rulings, nobody can question the integrity of this tournament. Stop sounding like a fact. It starts sounding like a plea. And it's not one bad night. This tournament has been drowning in officiating storms since the opening game, when 3 red cards flew in a single match. A referee scheduled to work the tournament was turned back at the U.S. border 5 days before it even started. Even the Wall Street Journal ran a piece begging everyone to talk honestly about VAR, arguing replay was supposed to stay narrow, reserved for the clear and obvious, and instead only ever expands, until a striker's shoulder is offside by the width of a shoelace and a goal that made a stadium erupt gets erased by a graphic that looks like a physics homework assignment. That's not fairness. That's forensics. Now, before I let this take land, you deserve the other side. And Argentina deserves it more than anyone. There is no evidence. None. That this World Cup is fixed. Not the Egypt game, not the Balogun mess, not the draw, not the all-Argentine officiating crew. FIFA's referees chief explained the disallowed goal by the actual rulebook, and it holds up. Reviewing the full attacking phase for a foul is a real rule, not a favor. Refereeing at this level is brutally, genuinely hard. And the same expansion that stretched officials thin also handed us more matches, more angles, more slow motion, more chances to freeze a frame and find a crime a human at full speed could never have seen. And here's the part nobody arguing about penalties wants to sit with: Argentina doesn't need any of this. Messi, Lautaro Martinez, Enzo Fernandez. This is a squad that beats anyone on earth on merit, the same squad that won in Qatar is the best team in that tournament, full stop. When your explanation for a Messi hat-trick is a conspiracy, you might just be refusing to admit you watched one of the greatest players who ever lived be great. That's the fair caveat. It's real. Write it down. So here's where it lands. The problem was never whether any single call was right. Referees miss things. The sport survives that, it always has. What sport cannot survive as easily is the suspicion that the rules aren't being called the same way for everyone. A president who says he suffered for one team, live, on camera. An entire officiating crew from the same country as the favorite, assigned to their biggest rival, on the exact day another controversy was breaking. A red card quietly erased after a call from the most powerful office on the planet, and total silence about why. Argentina might lift this trophy having genuinely been the best team in the world. And a huge chunk of the planet will still put a quiet asterisk next to it. Not because Argentina cheated, but because FIFA made honesty impossible to prove. That's the tragedy of it. The champions may have earned everything. And no one will ever be fully allowed to be sure. Nobody is saying the World Cup is fixed. But somewhere along the way, that sentence stopped sounding like a fact, and started sounding like a hope. So now it's your turn. 2 questions, drop both answers in the comments. 1. The Egypt call, reasonable pile, or crazy pile? 2. Is Argentina getting protected, or are they just getting good? I read every comment on this one, so don't just scroll past, tell me where you land. And if this kind of deep dive breakdown is what you come here for, subscribe, because there's more of this coming before the final.